Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I've spent most of the last couple of days slow stitching. I feel very chilled. I'm quite relaxed. I'm quite happy with how I'm getting on. So I thought I'd come back and show you how I got on with the gorgeous kit that Tori from Kooky Creatures sent me to make one of her beautiful bracelet cuffs. I've actually made mine a little bit bigger and turned it into a little band to go around my sketchbook. So I wanted to show you that finished, and also just a quick catch up to show you what the squares are looking like for the Scrappy String Quilt. So if you're thinking about joining in with me, or you've started joining in and you want to get a better idea of where I'm going with it, this is what I'm going to do today. I've got a good few more squares to make, but I just thought it'd be good to show you what they're looking like and I can now give you a better idea of where it's going to go in the end. I'm not making any sense at all, I'm aware of that, but hey ho, let's go to the desk. Okay, well, I need to come down a little bit. So here's my finished bracelet cuff, which I'm using I just thought it's such a lovely way with this little dinky concertina sketchbook to be able to tuck a pencil or two in there as well. I just thought it was really fun. Let me take it off of here now though and show you how it looks. So these are meant to be gorgeous bracelet cuffs. I've made mine a little too big to be a bracelet cuff. You would adjust it. She allows plenty of fabric for whatever size wrist you've got. The idea is you would wear it as a cuff like that, which I think is beautiful as well. I do think I'll probably use it more like this though, because I probably wouldn't wear this every day. I tend to always have my sleeves rolled up unless I'm freezing cold. So let's undo this and have a look at the finished thing. Now this kit included everything that I needed. Even so, I did bring in some extra threads of my own in the end, just to add a few more extra stitches in, and then I used this finer thread just for stitching the felt on the back as well. I just found that easier, and for attaching the loop. But everything, even that loop, the big bud, all the decorative pieces, and as you can see I've got fabric left over. I've probably got enough fabric left over to make another band if I just put an extra piece of base fabric and some felt in. I threw all of the bag of doodads, buttons and sequins and pretty things, beads and things that she put in, bells, all of those were in the kit, and I've put them all on. I like the idea of dangling them along the bottom. Yeah, really happy with it. I love the sparkles. I could and I might still go in and add even more stitching. I loved that she included some metallic thread, so I did that thing around the heart, which I wouldn't have thought of doing otherwise, but it just really gives it an extra something. And I could carry on stitching until I can, to the point where you can barely see the fabric, but I've decided that that's enough because I think the fabrics are beautiful too. And although this is a slow stitching project, I just couldn't stop, so I finished it all in it's about 24 hours since I started it, and obviously I have done other things as well in that time. I did sleep for a couple of hours, So yeah, I'm really pleased. I can thoroughly recommend those kits. I believe Tori's got them in her Etsy shop now, so I will leave you a link to that in the description box. So that's those. Thoroughly recommend. And what a lovely little gift they would make. I believe she's going to put instructions in as well, so if you gave these as a gift to a friend, the instructions will be in there, and a link to Tori's brilliant videos showing how she makes these. So yeah, we'll make a lovely, in fact actually I can think of a friend I might get one for. There are different colourways as well, so I might be tempted to go and get a couple more myself. It's funny, isn't it? I've got loads and loads of scraps of fabric anyway, but there's something lovely about having someone make up a coordinated kit of lovely little goodies like this for you, with instructions to follow so you know exactly what you're doing. There's just something very lovely about that. Yeah, and I think for someone, either someone who's already addicted to slow stitching and has got loads of fabric, or someone who you think might love slow stitching, or for yourself if you want to try it as a beginner, this would be a really good, thoroughly recommend. Okay, enough about that. I'm going to shovel all that to one side and let's show you how I'm getting on with the Scrappy String Quilt. So this is a new project that I also just started day before yesterday, and haven't been able to stop. So I have been using some of these gorgeous fabric scraps that I get from Bazaar. I'll leave a link to Bazaar as well, because if you make an order from Bazaar and put a note in the box at the end, and there's an add a note box at the end when you're checking out, if you put in there Arty Farty Annie treat, I will put it I'll put it somewhere here. Arty Farty Annie Treat. They'll put a little extra something or other in with your order. It could be anything, it depends what they've got and what you're ordering. And they're mixed packs of cottons and silks more than anything. There were a few synthetics in there, and you also get bits of trims and little things like beads and all sorts in there. They're reclaimed fabrics that have been rescued from factory floors, or it's display fabrics that have become faded. So yeah, they're all basically things that otherwise would have been wasted. To us, they're treasures. So I will leave a link to Bazaar as well. And one more link I'm going to leave is Contrado, where I got a whole bundle of free fabric. So this came from Contrado. This is what I'm going to use as my backing fabric. Contrado are a company that print your own design onto fabric for you. So they have ends of rolls that they can't use. So rather than waste them or store them or whatever, they will send you a 2 kilogram parcel free. You have to pay £5.49, it is currently in the UK, for delivery. And it's 2 kilograms of nice, clean, big, nicely folded pieces of fabric. I'll put a link. I dug around yesterday because I was trying to tell someone else about it in the Discord. I'll put a link to when I opened a Contrado package last year, so you can see what you get in it and get an idea. There's a similar thing in America called Canvas, etc. But I don't know what they charge for postage, so just check that. But I know it's £5.49 from Contrado in the UK. And a new subscriber just recently, so now let me make sure I get her name right. Hang on a sec. It's called Create and Craft with Christine. So Christine, let me know, she's in Melbourne, Australia, and she's there for anybody who's in Melbourne. There's something called I think it's called the Reverse Art Shed. Reverse Art Shed. I'll put a link again. And I went and subscribed to Christine's channel as well. So she's got lots of ideas for using up scrap. She does lots of lovely slow stitching projects. So if you're into this kind of thing, check out her channel as well if you haven't already. So there's a few different places where you can get these free fabrics that companies would otherwise waste. And I think it's really good that they're letting people like us have them for nothing. That's really lovely. So wherever you are, just check locally. Just Google. I think I found Contrado by googling free fabric scraps or something, and see what comes up in your area, because it's just free resources. Marvellous. Okay, so enough waffle, let's show you how I've been getting on. Here's the Scrappy String quilt. I won't bother to explain the whole thing because I've been waffling for long enough. I will leave a link to the first video where I show you how to get started on this, but I just wanted to come back and show you how the squares are looking. So they're all different. I haven't bothered to measure the width of the strips. I've just torn the strips as they come, and I've used, where I've got a little piece that just happens to fit it. It's however, I've just used it as it comes. If I've got a little scrap like that, that'll get stuck on the end. I won't bother showing you how I do them again. As I say, I will link to the first video, but this will give you a better idea of where I'm going with it. I've chosen a fairly leery colour scheme. You could make it all pinks and purples, or reds and oranges, or green and blue, or something that would be a bit more harmonious than I'm doing here. I think I've got a bit leery taste. It would also actually, if you happen to have a lot of scraps of kind of white and neutral colours and old lace, it did occur to me this would be a really pretty way of using tiny scraps of old lace. When I put it all together, I'm then going to go back in and add more decorative stitching, and also things like buttons, beads, little things like that. So again, with I can imagine like a very neutral colour scheme with some of those little linen buttons and things like that, or Dorset buttons, or also whatever you've got. So these are the kind of scraps I've been using. This is my scrap bag I've had downstairs with me. Nothing is getting thrown away. And I'm going to make myself do it this evening, I think. I've got a huge box full of, I'm going to get it and show you. Okay, this is the huge box where I used to just have ribbons. Look at it. I mean, it's too big for me to get. All sorts has got chucked in there, and even some of my big bag of embroidery threads went in there at one point. It's an absolute disaster. But I'm sure in amongst there will be some more bits I can use in these Scrappy String quilts, so I'm going to make myself sit and do that this evening. But now I've got into a rhythm with it. That little square that I cut that I showed in the first video, so this would be, I'm going for about 2.5 inches or 6 centimetres. So I'm just using this as a guide to just cut a little snip and then tear a strip. So I end up with like a 2.5 inch or 6 centimetre wide strip, and then using it again to snip and tear off a square, snip and tear off a square. So it's really quick, and I'm just tearing a square as and when I need it. I'm going for 48 of these. Then I'll be putting them onto another piece of this for backing, doing my decorative stitching and adding all my bits and pieces, and then I will put my nice backing on the back. That'll be the final backing. And then at that point is when you would need to decide if you want to make it into a fold-up book like I explained in the first video, or whether you want to make a journal wrap with it, or if you want to make loops at the top so you can make it into a hanging, or frame it, put it in a box frame or something. It's all sorts of things. We'll go through all that, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Also, if you're a beginner or you haven't got much time, you could do something much smaller. You could perhaps just make 6 squares and fold them up into a little needle to make a little needle case or something like that. You could make a journal wrap quite easily if you made 12 squares, fold it over into a little wrap for your journal, and then just line it. See, this is another piece that came out of a Bazaar scrapbook. So this could be the liner, and you could turn it into a journal wrap. It could be, there's all sorts of possibilities. But we're going to take it one step at a time, and the first thing is to just keep going with these squares. I'm going to aim at 48, but it's very adaptable. Just to give you an idea, if you've not seen the string quilting thing before, you can arrange them in different ways. So you can see the pattern that's created there if I put them together like that. If you want to be really mathematical and pernickety about it, you could make these all line up. I don't want that. I love I called it earlier on, replying to someone, I called it controlled higgledy-pigglediness, and that's exactly what I want. There's some pattern to it, but it's a bit wild as well. That's how I like it. And you can create different kinds of designs as well. So you can see, I do that, you can see that cross starting to come out now. I could move that down there. And then once they're all on, once I've decided on the arrangement, see now already I'm happy. It really doesn't matter right now. Just stop. Once I've decided on the arrangement, then I will tack them all down with more of the small running stitches, and then I'll go in with the decorative stitching. But if you don't want to get into the decorative stitching, I think it's going to look lovely just with the little running stitches. I really do. I might even decide I don't want to do a lot of decorative stitching myself. I quite like the idea of using up some of my huge collection of beautiful buttons in the centres of some of them. That would be a possibility. I quite fancy trying a bit of shisha embroidery, which is where you have the tiny mirrors in there. I did some of that when I did the boho bunting series, and I really enjoyed it. And I have got a lot of shisha mirrors now because I've been given some recently. So you can kind of see where we're going with this. I just wanted to give you a little taste of what it's going to look like, because sometimes it's hard to keep going on something if you've got no idea of where you're heading. Or it is for me anyway. If you've got any questions at all, leave me a question in the comments, or join us in our Discord community or on the Arty Farty Annie group on Facebook. I'll put my link tree in the description, and you can find both of those places easily from there. 2 or 3 people have already said they're going to join in. I really love the idea that other people are having a go at this and will make it their own. I mean, depending on what fabrics you've got and what your taste is, how you put them together, you're going to get a completely different look from what I'm going to get, and it'll be really exciting to me to see that. Don't think either that you've got to go and buy Bazaar scrap packs. They're lovely, they're perfect to use for this kind of thing, and this is a perfect way to use them if you've already got one. But you could use whatever you have got. I reckon you could do this with just ribbon scraps, would be another really pretty idea. And now I've thought of the idea of the old lace, I've also got this. Yes, so this little cute little bird that came in some kit or something, and I've got this now quite a big collection of bits of old lace and doilies and things like that. And I've got some plain sort of natural unbleached calico and linen and things like that, and kind of pillar ticking and things. So it occurs to me that now I've thought of it, this would be a really pretty idea using that kind of thing instead of, so I could do one completely opposite, completely leery and then a really nice subtle neutral one. I think I'll probably, you know, there are so many, there's endless possibilities with this, and I'm very excited to think that even just one or two people might join in and see what they can do with it. So I'm going to stop waffling now, and please share pictures if you're doing anything with this, or any of your creations. I always love to see what everybody's up to. So check out the Facebook group and join if you haven't already, or Discord. There's so much going on in the Discord community now. It's really lively in there, and we're a really friendly bunch. So yeah, come and say hello. Okay, that's it. I'm really going now. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you found that useful. Do ask if you've got any questions, and I will see you again soon. Oh, we did forget something.